I'm having my one.
Hello and welcome to the I'm Having My One Board Games podcast. I'm joined by my fellow settlers, Tom, Rhys, and Seb. Say hello, boys.
Hello.
Hello.
All right.
And we are going to revisit one of the classics this episode of board gaming, Settlers of Catan. But there'll be no wood for sheep jokes because we're not that kind of podcast.
Got all of that out of our system before the record started. Well, before the record that will be released.
Meh. Bonus at the end. No one ever gets to the end anyway, so it's fine. We could put it all in. We should put it all in and see if anyone notices. So we have just played the classic Settlers of Catan game by Klaus Tuber, who is widely regarded as sort of getting a more modern style of board game going. Although you'll be pleased to hear, Tom, that I think as a child he was given the Punic Wars, Rome versus Carthage, 246 to 146 BC, released in 1975, which is looks just as interesting as you think it would. You know, it's just right up your alley, Tom. Big old paper map, loads of tokens going around, not really knowing what you're doing. It says only 60 minutes. I've had a quick look. I reckon it's going to be more than that.
I think it meant 60 hours. It was a
Yeah.
misprint.
And his first game, Barbarossa, won Spiel de Jahre. And then he released a few others, which aren't really important, don't even look that good. And then we suddenly hit Settlers of Catan, which skyrocketed in 1995. So this is the time in the podcast where we kind of go through the rules, but I also think who is listening to this that doesn't have a grasp of the rules? But for those of you that might not, essentially you build round a little hexagonal map, collecting some resources given by the roll of a dice, unless it's a seven where the mean old Seb will come and rob you and take your stuff. And you keep playing until someone gets 10 points and then you've won. Many expansions available. Base game plays to 3 to 4 players and up to 6 with more expansions. That's the game. Nice and simple. How did we find it, Rhys?
I have always loved Catan. From early days in my gaming. Is career the right word? Probably not. I don't think I can call it a career.
Because of all the
But yeah,
money we're making from it.
from the early days of me board gaming, Catan's always been a firm favorite. I think primarily just because of the player interaction that you get from it. I think it was the first board game that I'd played where it kind of still has a little bit of take that with the robber,
Definitely.
but not in the kind of same way that, a game like Monopoly or something like that would have, where it's continuous. So yeah, I've always really enjoyed this game and I've had a lot of fun. I haven't played many of the expansions. I think I've only played one of them, the Seafarers
Same.
expansion for it. Um, I've never really I've never really wanted to play one because they're always um sorry, sorry, I've got someone walking behind me, which
Little
I
guest
shouldn't have
appearance.
I shouldn't have mentioned because you can't see anyway, so it was fine. Um, where was I? Yeah, I've never really wanted to play any of the expansions because I just think the game is good enough as it is. It's kind of it's a decent, solid game. I don't think you need to kind of improve on it all that much. But yeah, no, great.
I mostly agree with you on the expansion thing. I've got the Seafarers one, and it's fine. It just adds a bit of extra stuff. It's not very exciting, really. Um, but I'm quite intrigued by the higher player count one. I have to admit, when I was buying Seafarers, or was bought Seafarers, I can't remember, I thought that was the one that gave you the ability to play with 5 or 6 players. and
No, unfortunately,
just
you have
ask for
to
the wrong
buy
thing or whatever.
like they marketed it really well because you have to buy the base game 5 to 6 player expansion, then you
Yeah,
can buy the Seafarers five to
that's
six
it.
player expansion.
Have you played it with those expansions? Like, how is it at 5 and 6? Is it just the same, just more?
Just yeah, it just
Takes
long
longer.
goes on longer. It's just a few more tiles, just so there is more space to build. Um,
Yeah, I guess it sort of doesn't. It's interesting because it's a game that actually I think it kind of works at 3 players, but actually only really works at 4 players. I think well, for me anyway. So yeah, if you're adding a fifth and a sixth player, does that really do anything at all? Because it's not. Yeah, it's really just opening up a game to a larger group. Really, I suppose that's all it is. So it means that if your group is 5, gives you the ability, or 6, gives you the ability to get it to the table that otherwise you probably wouldn't be able to.
yeah, yeah. And if you because let's be honest, it's still absolutely huge. Despite being a game from 1995.
Right. With so many iterations of it, I swear every time, how many years have we been to Expo now? 3 years?
Yeah,
Something
three.
like that. It's always got one of the biggest stands, right? And I always think, look, there's all these people pitching all of these new games, whatever they are, with their big banners, and then always one of the biggest ones is just Catan, this
Yeah,
massive, great sign. And it's usually because they've just created some new one like Catan Football or Catan. What was the one we tried the first year? I think it was Catan Game of Thrones or something like that. And it was some convoluted version of having to protect the wall against the wildlings or something like that. I can't really remember how that worked. I did actually see one the other day though. Sorry, a bit of a rabbit hole on expansions here, but there's one that came out, I think maybe last year or maybe the year before, that was something like Catan First Steps or called something like that, and I was interested enough to just look it up a little bit, and there was quite a cool little thing where it was about the essentially the growth of humanity from first proto-humans in Africa and how that kind of spread across the globe. And there was a quite neat little mechanic of resources. You sort of chase the resources around the map like you're sort of migrating through the planet, which I thought was quite an interesting approach. But anyway, that's
Careful,
one of many.
careful, Tom. Careful. That's how they get you. They almost got me with the. Do you remember the 3D deluxe version of
That
Catan
is
that came
the
out?
epic one.
I remember seeing that and being like, yeah, I can see that being on my shelf.
I could do
I seriously
that.
considered it, but thankfully I didn't buy it because it would have been a bit silly. But no, yeah, they do. They're certainly flogging the brand and the game, but it's solid. It's solid. I love it. It's got great player interaction. It's not too long. Um, it's not too complex, so it's a great game to introduce people to who are casual gamers. It's got a lot going for it. I think it's good.
Seb,
Yeah, I
you've
think
been
it's like for a start, the creator of the game, Klaus Tuber, was it? He's got to be considered one of the fathers of the modern hobby because of the amount of people he has introduced to board gaming through the gateway drug of Settlers Catan. Because
I doubt. Yeah.
it's such a great game for getting people involved with it because you're like, oh, there's a thing out there called board games that's not just Monopoly, and then it
yeah.
just expands your board gaming horizons. I think the beauty of the game is its simplicity. Um, uh, you're not going to get lots of complex rule checking. It's just lots of chat, negotiation, bit of rolling the dice. It's just fun. And just I always know what I'm going to get out of a game of Settlers Catan, and I'm always up for that. Because there's always going to be laughter, and usually the whole table will be enjoying it. So some people might be getting left behind in terms of like points wise. I me in the last game we played. but I still enjoyed the game because it was just we were just laughing the whole time, and
Is it the first time
we
we've
always
all
get
played together, this particular game?
I think it I think it might be the first time we've
Maybe.
yeah.
played it with you, Paul. I mean, the three, yeah,
We used to play it on TTS a bit during the pandemic, didn't we?
we did. Yeah, we played it a lot during the pandemic. But yeah, I think it might be the first time the four of us have played it.
Well, it's worth just making that our last game, I think.
Why is
So
that, Paul?
what do you think then, Paul? It's a nice segue.
I think it's all right. I think, as you say, it's very good for getting people into board games. I was kind of reading up on his creation process because it took him a while to get this game together.
Oh, really?
And apparently the key, like the linchpin moment, was when he switched from square tiles to hexes, which you just see all the time now.
Sure.
Mm,
I
I'm
wonder
not
if
quite sure how it would
whether that
work.
was one of the first. Yeah, with the square ones would have been weird, wouldn't it? Um, but I wonder if that was one of the first to use hex. Probably not. Somebody who knows more about board games than us will say, no, it was this one. Not necessarily in that voice. Sorry, that person. But
It's exactly what they sound like.
uh,
Well,
but yeah,
he's
it feels like. I
one
mean,
more
to your
there
point as well,
than
Seb, is it kind of like this guy feels like the godfather of modern board gaming, right? And so many of the ideas that he's put in there have been built on or expanded, much like a game of Catan, right?
Yeah.
Built the roads,
yeah,
assessments have been done. You've
nice.
exported the goods, you've traded, and you had a great time.
I think it was one of the first games that I played where you the downtime was very minimal because
Mostly is. Hmm.
there is no downtime because whenever somebody's rolling a dice, you're checking to see if you can collect resources. Um, the only downtime really is when two people get into a trade that they can't agree on and they might be arguing with each other for 5 minutes. Um,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah, I don't
So
know.
the
I played this game years ago with, and obviously I won't mention any names, but they are two doctors who live in the south of Wales. Um, and they would not trade with one another. They're a married couple, and honestly, it was like a little domestic breakdown system going on,
Brilliant.
where it was getting more and more awkward for Michelle and I as these two were just getting more and more petty with one another. And it was good because ultimately you have like unless it's really going your way, you have to trade, right?
Yeah.
And they were just like, nope, even if it will help me, I'm not trading with you. I'm not doing it.
the
But
morning's argument clearly not been resolved then.
something had gone on earlier that day. Um, but yeah, I think as you were saying, Seb, that player interaction is really important. Getting those negotiation skills going and seeing what deals can be done.
think you've got to just go for them sometimes. I always say the approach, and everything about I say about Catan that's anywhere near any strategy in this game should be taken with a pinch of salt because I'm terrible at Catan. I think I've only ever won it once, and that was probably pure fluke. And the thing about trading I always feel that you need to do is just sort of you just got to go do it to keep the game moving a bit sometimes, right? It's a bit of a get the economy of the game moving, even if it means that you're sacrificing a bit. I mean, you definitely get to a point in the game where there's nobody wants to trade with the leader, which can be a bit of a negative if you are in the lead. It just sometimes takes forever to win, but
Yeah,
I
'cause
don't really know much about that.
I think yeah, if you get out too far ahead, I mean, do you feel it can sometimes be a little bit kingmakery? Because
Yeah, it
if
can.
someone does get ahead, they can sometimes do it just by their own merit, but sometimes
Mm.
because of that, you're like pumping someone else's up with their resources and that to help them out.
Yeah, and you can get to that point in the game where I think it feels like you can't do any trades because anything that you do is probably going to help somebody out to be able to win. So I think it's possibly one area of the game that and I just don't think there's much you can do about it. Just tends to drag in that kind of probably mid to late game where somebody has got about 7 points, the visible points, and they're sitting on maybe a card or two that you know is going to give them probably at least another point. So you don't want to do anything which is enabling them to do more. And then if there's another person, as there was in our game, I think, where two of you were sitting on about 7 points, it's just difficult to know what to do because you either kind of need to just sacrifice the game and just say, yeah, I'm just going to trade with that person whenever the game's over. Fine,
Yeah.
they've won it, or you can be just belligerent about it and just somewhat stifle what you can do yourself because you need to trade with somebody. It's a big part of the game. So I think it is a downside for me.
I mean,
I feel like it's every game that happens actually.
there are
Conversely,
downsides.
most games have moments where you've got to shut down that person who's in the lead if you want to have any chance of winning. Like you have to do it, don't you?
Yes, but I think this is a game where, and this is a game from 1995, and board games have moved a lot in the last 30 years. So fine, I'm not going to be too critical about it, but I think there's this in other games, there's ways to be able to try and actually take them back rather than just halting the gameplay by not interacting with them at all through doing trading or anything else like that, you know.
Mm, yeah. I mean, there are some ways that you can peg people back. Like, you can steal the longest road, or you can steal the biggest army that gives
Sure.
you 2 points. So there are certain ways you can do it, but you know, I agree. There is a bit of momentum in this game that once you start winning, that momentum kind of picks up because the most basic way that you start winning is by laying those settlements, right?
Mm.
And then you're then kind of collecting on more hexes, you're getting more resources, and that kind of rolls forward, and that's the momentum of the kind of winner who's going to do that. And Paul was doing that amazingly in our game. He got his uh what the big buildings called? Citadel?
Cities.
Cities. Um you were the only one who got cities out, I think, in that game, but it just means suddenly you're getting double resources, and that kind of cranks that cranks that wheel, doesn't it?
But also only if your dice come up because like
Yeah.
Tom outrageously built two houses on a 12 and one on a 2 and
Why
they
is it I don't
came
win this game? It's weird.
they came up so much.
Yeah,
So
I
much.
got
There were
very lucky.
times like hadn't seen an 8 for a couple of rounds and yet
Threes as well. Threes were coming
yeah.
up all the time.
It is
Ridiculous.
one of the things that's really good about this game, I think, is that you do have a lot of variety to it. That the games in a what you're going for. It's not that you can always put your cities, your settlements on a certain resource or something because I want to really go for the roads. So I'm going to try and get loads of wood and clay because those could be on really crap numbers, right? And so that may not be the best decision to make overall. So it's always going to be different every time in what
Yeah.
you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Which is a real strength, I think.
I mean, another thing I really like about the game of the ports that you get around the
Yeah.
map, because if you do find yourself, especially if there's a lockdown on trading, those ports are a bit of a lifeline. And if you can get a settlement at a port and do a 2 for 1 on, sheep or wheat or whatever it might be, suddenly that kind of opens up the game
That
massively for
basically
you.
was what I was trying to do in our game was I'd put myself heavily onto the wheat with the idea of getting to the port to be able to then trade the 2 for 1 on it. Gambling on the crap numbers there, but being
Yeah.
close to the port, but it just took me way too long to get to the port because I didn't have any other resources because I was on a 12 and a 2. So I didn't couldn't
At
really get
least you
much going.
At least you made it to the port, Tom, because Seb forgot the two road space rule and built built too close to the port to be able to actually build on the port.
I was wondering, guys, how important do you think it is strategy wise to go for a port, or do you think you should try and focus on internal hex economy rather than port economy.
Internal hex economy. I do like that. It's very nice.
Situational, I reckon. I mean, if
Is a bit.
it's if you've got easy access to a port, like you're close to a port that you can trade goods that you know that you're going to get a lot of. I mean, it's a no-brainer. If you don't, then
You're making like before a turn has been taken, though, isn't it? Because you're like, well, if I can put a city here in the initial placement, then you're going for that. So your whole game can be dictated by those initial city placements, can't it?
I think the
yeah,
ports do give you a nice out, basically, literally, I suppose, when you haven't got such a good placement, or because it's quite difficult, right, in the way in which it does it, in the setup that you're just going to get lucky sometimes and other times not. Is that the ports can be that way that if you're just a bit stuck, like if you've got fantastic placement, you're right, you probably don't need the ports necessarily because if you've got a little bit of everything and our ability to get stuff that people are going to want, then you're probably okay, which is probably actually wood and clay, to be fair, isn't it, for the most part. But then if you're not able to do that in that original placement, then being able to go to one of the ports is a good secondary strategy. But maybe for some people that is the primary one. So I was trying to do this game and it just didn't really work.
And should you also just go for wood and clay, but knowing that a few other people are probably going to be doing that anyway, you can just prioritize on something else so you can trade with them, and then you're going for wheat and stone, and then
Yeah,
you're getting
yeah,
cities and development cards, which
yeah.
might get you quite far ahead in the late game.
Yeah, I mean, probably best that someone who just won this game more than once answers really, but the development cards are definitely a great other little way of being able to do it. Uh, uh, Play the game, right? And maybe that's a really important strategy. Paul, you did. I mean, that's basically how you won the game.
Well, yeah, but more out of luck than judgment because essentially I'd run out of things to do and I was fairly sure Rhys was going to win on the next turn. So I just bought a card on the off chance and it was a victory point.
But didn't you get four victory points from cards? Was it three?
No, just two.
Oh, it was just two,
Two.
was it?
Yeah.
uh,
Oh,
I
amazing.
I already had two. I had two victory points from the development cards. I don't usually go heavy into development cards, but I did massively this game. Because I think I had like five or six kind of army cards or soldier cards. Um,
Hmm.
Two of the victory point cards. Yeah, I don't know if you need to do it every time. Again, I guess it's just situational, right? You don't want to go over the seven hand limit, the seven card limit, because you risk losing half of your cards rounded, um, which happened to me twice, I think, in that game. Um, so you know if you've got cards to spend, you can't do anything else with them except buy a development card. You're just going to buy a development card because otherwise you might lose them anyway. So it's you may as well do it. What do we think about that kind of seven card limit and the
Hilarious.
it is, isn't it?
That's Schadenfreude a bit of well of I think every game,
Of
any
board
game.
games ever.
Yeah.
It is really good when you're waiting, anticipating for that seven to be rolled, knowing that it's going to completely screw somebody over. And particularly when it's you and it's the gamble that you go, oh, do I just burn these cards on a 4 for 1 to get one brick? Or do I
Yeah.
just wait one round? Can I survive one round of nobody rolling a seven? And even if nobody's rolled, any sevens at all, you're fairly sure it's going to be rolled that round.
Yeah.
But
I
It's
think
a
I
good
got shafted in that last game twice, where I essentially got to my turn with more than seven cards, rolled a seven, so I had to essentially lose on my turn. Couldn't build anything, and then the turn went round again, and I ended up with more than seven cards, and my next roll was a seven again. So just like there's
Maybe
nothing I can do here.
My heart absolutely bleeds for both of you with the number of resources that you were getting, resource
1 point.
cards that you were
But
getting.
but
Oh,
this
yeah,
is the
But
good thing.
that's the
It's
pegging back bit, right?
it's a good level. Yeah, it's a good balancing mechanic, right?
Yeah,
Because
it's
if
fair. It's
somebody
fair.
is hoarding, you can't hoard resources. You've got to spend them or trade
Yeah,
them. So it's kind of promoting that
sure.
progression
And it's
of the
completely random,
game.
right? Which perhaps is that better or worse? I don't know. What I was saying before, I guess I was thinking about a deliberate way to be able to peg someone back, and you can put the rubber on their stuff, which I suppose does something, doesn't it? But maybe it's just really good to have this random chaos element of whether they're going to lose half their cards or not.
I
I
think it'd
think
be less fun if it was predictable.
Maybe.
I mean, there is a predictability to it because 7 is the most common number to be rolled. So,
or
it's more likely.
12s when you play with Tom. Sorry, Seb, I interrupted you. Do carry on.
Oh no, I'd finished. I didn't have much to say.
Finished. Well, Seb, tell us, what do you think of the artwork?
It's nice and simple. It's nothing flashy. It's just it does what it says on the tin. And I'm not drooling over it, but it's not impeding my gameplay.
Okay.
I'm not thinking, oh, I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's clearly some clay, some brick, some wood, some sheep. Like I don't need to be um, wowed by it. It just does what it needs to do.
I think what it does really well is that, as you said, you could take the sheep off it and it becomes green. You could take the clay off it and it becomes like a reddy brown color, and it just comes down to different colors, right? And I think that's really a strength of it as well, is that you just instant recognizable. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Without necessarily needing to look into the detail of it. The detail on the cards is fine, it's nice as you say, but it's not going to blow anyone's socks off. But it's I think probably one of the really positive things about it is how simple that is in a player's interpretation. As one of you said before, is that you can just almost sit down and start playing this game. You don't
Hmm.
need this great long teach to be able to do it. And I think probably those kind of things, even if it's just subliminally, that's an interesting word to be able to say. I'm not going to try it again. You kind of know that that's that card, that's that resource, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the artwork on the cards is pretty good as well. I mean, I quite like the artwork on this for its simplicity. I think it's just, nice picture of a sheep on a card, bundle of bundle of hay or wheat.
I just wonder if it's
That
changed a lot. I'm just going to really quickly Google, sorry to Google while recording, the 1995 version of it, and just wonder whether it has changed very much or not.
It's not changed massively.
That doesn't
They
look
have
like it has
they
actually.
have
No.
sort of they have updated it, but yeah, the sort of the base the original version of the game was still similar, very similar in
It used
style.
to be called Settlers, didn't it? Rather
It
than just
was
Catan.
Settlers of
Mm.
Catan,
mm,
and it's now
Just
just
Catan, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
well, used to
Yeah.
be called the Facebook, and then you know
Just became too big.
used to be
now it's
called the
now it's
MySpace,
Meta,
didn't it?
the MySpace. I was friends with him,
Well, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
small
yeah,
world.
yeah. He was my first friend on MySpace.
Oh, nice.
Ah, it's a blast from the past.
It's still going apparently, MySpace. Someone was telling me the other day, and it's making a comeback as a rejection of Meta. Is that having a MySpace? It's like vinyl and all this kind of stuff.
Has it become
Um,
retro?
it's
Wow,
become retro. Yeah,
wow.
it's cool to have a MySpace
It's
as a
cool to be on
profile.
MySpace.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Space.
Do you
Not
think
sure.
people will go back to like VHS dating again, where you kind of record yourself and send it off? And
Yeah.
I mean, I hope so. Absolutely. Anyway, probably strayed a little bit away from Catan of me.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Catan.
To MySpace. Was MySpace around 1995?
No, surely not. Internet had only just been turned on, hadn't
Uh,
it?
When When
It must. Hmm,
was MySpace created?
it
Oh,
must be
2003. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
It's this sort of quality content that, I mean, it's how we've got so many listeners, I think, isn't
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably as many as MySpace users, I would think. No,
Hey,
it? I
nowhere
wish.
near that close.
They've got like 100, haven't they?
good.
Oof, lofty.
Right. Well, so with segue, what about the scores? So Tom, as you were saying, you never win this game,
I
apart
don't,
from once.
apart from once.
Does that affect your score? What are you giving it?
Well, I'm going to give it a score that doesn't completely represent what I thought about the last game we had. The last game we had, I thought was really fun. And I think something I had mentioned already is that the fact that we all know that game so well is that we completely could just play it and chat. And I think that was a really great thing about the game we had the other day was just being able to just be socializing while we were doing it. And, sure, there was a few sort of in-game comments going on and laughter about the trades and the dice rolls, all that kind of stuff. But it was great from that point of view. Score wise, I think this is the most 7 out of 10 game in the world, really. I think it kind of sits really in the middle as yeah, it's good, I'm happy to play it, but it's not one that I think, every Wednesday on my gaming groups session, oh, I must get that out, or I desperately want to play it. And I think maybe we play it once every 6 months, something like that. And it's okay, it's fine, it's a good game. So yeah, 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10, no problem. Seb.
I would agree with everything that Tom just said. Other than the score, I'd probably give it a little bit of a higher score, just because of how pleasurable it is to actually play the game. There aren't many games that you're just rolling in laughter for like an hour. That doesn't happen very often, and I think the game needs to be rewarded for that in score terms. So I'd probably give it a 7.5.
7.5, thank you.
Oh.
Talking of rolling with laughter, when are we having that game in Nemesis?
Rolling with Laughter would be a great new name for this podcast.
Oh,
If only we were funny.
Yeah.
rebrand.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't think that through.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't think they're not laughing. All right.
No.
Could somebody work on
Scratch
that?
that.
Seb, could you
Rolling
work on that?
with
Work on being funny, and then
Yeah, I think
bring that funny into the group.
Paul's jokes might have to get binned. That's for start.
outrageous. There's nothing wrong with my jokes. Okay, so Rhys, while we're in the middle of doing all the scores with no, tangents or whatever, how did you score this game?
So my score in the game was 9. You stole the victory from me, Paul.
Sorry.
you were sitting on that 9 for a long time as well.
I was sitting on that 9 for a very long time. But I feel it's appropriate that I give this game a 7 as well. It's
Your visible
it's
points were 7. Your visible points were 7, right? So
my visible points were 7. They were 7.
it does
No,
make sense.
I actually I'm going to go with Seb. I agree. A little bit higher than the kind of mainstream kind of good game. I really like this just for the player interaction. It's there aren't that many games that I will play at a table with people and always there's that fun at the table and everyone's leaning in and everyone's talking and joking and chatting. And I think you probably hit the nail on the head, Tom, with it being such a simple game. You're not in that. Don't talk to me. I need to concentrate on what I'm going to do my next go. You're very open to just having a chat and enjoying it at the table. And so that's what I really, really love that this game brings to a table. So yeah, 7.5, I think is a good score for it.
Thank you
What
very
about you,
much.
Paul?
Well, I feel I'm going to.
All because of the lols.
I'm gonna bring the mood down now. I'm so sorry.
Ugh.
I'd previously
Oh,
scored.
Jesus. You're
I've
going to give
I've
it
tried
two,
to.
aren't
I
you?
knew you were gonna be so happy about it.
Ugh.
I just
You won.
I did
Surely,
win.
surely that's going to.
You
We need to
miserable
take like
man. You
we need to
miserable
take
man.
2 points off this for the which are the winning. I just
Doesn't
won the
doesn't
game
that count
points.
for anything,
You
Paul?
look like a
It
lot.
is. I've upped my score because I won. It's fine. Um, so I think
This better be good.
I think sometimes you can get stuck because of dice rolls.
Yeah,
That's not good.
it's fair.
Definitely.
I also feel this for its time when it came out was a great game. But I also think there's so much better stuff out there now. So yes, I had fun when we played. If someone said, "Oh, shall we play that again?" No, probably not. Um, so I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay. So really a
That's
4.
if you'd lost, it would have been a four.
No, so I'd pre-scored this before we played our game, and it was
Yeah,
a 6, and I won, and it's still a 6. Um, and,
Immovable.
and that's fine. It's fine, isn't it? Because a 6 on BGG is okay. We'll play if in the mood.
So you, based on what you said, you probably overrated it there. What's a 5 and a 4?
No, no. If I'm in the mood to play it, I will
Okay.
play it.
out
But
of
just
interest,
mood
out
does.
of interest, what game would you, if I joined your gaming group, Paul, and said I love Catan, show me something better than Catan that gives me that Catan feel of, you know, player interaction, simplicity. What 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 would you what
So
would you
not
point a player at?
not similar in terms of what you're doing in the game,
Hmm.
but something like Thunder Road Vendetta, which is ultimately
Yeah,
a racing game, but
yeah,
you're throwing some dice, you're doing stuff with that dice, chaos ensues, and there is player interaction because you're like, right, we should get, whoever's driving the big truck or whatever it
Seb.
might be, or yeah, get Seb because that's
That's so
it.
often the theme of all the games I play. It's because I'm so
I
good.
wonder why that is, Seb. I think ultimately I could point to loads of games that yeah, I would just rather be playing that kind of give you those laughs and can have a bit of player interaction. Um, or down a slightly other tangent would be something like the Lord of the Rings Pandemic game, which I think
Okay.
is fantastic. And again, player interaction and stuff, but a little bit more
Yes,
strategy.
co-op. Yeah, yeah.
It is co-op, so so it doesn't. But yeah,
Hmm.
or Small World.
Small World is a good choice. I think Ticket to Ride, I think if is a good other that I'd compare. Is that Ticket to Ride is a good, very similar, easy to get into uh, game that I think is one that I would rate slightly higher than Catan.
Doesn't have. I mean, it's a genuine question because the one thing that I love about the game is the player interaction,
Hmm.
the amount that it sparks conversation at the table. Um, and I struggle to think of games that do it. Um,
Well, maybe not quite as simple, but
as
some
well, you know.
sure. Yeah, I think it's probably fair. But not quite as simple, but something like Dune Imperium would be a game that I'd put
Yeah.
perhaps
Yes.
as a slight step up in terms
Actually,
of
yeah, yeah,
lots of fairly simple iconography and easy to play, good interaction, good light screwing each other over stuff going on there.
yeah, yeah. No, that's good. That's a good shout.
That's a good, really good choice.
But more complicated, I think. I think there's more going on. So
Mm.
perhaps it isn't a fair comparison, really. But
Yeah, but yeah. So I know we've gone off on yet another tangent. Um, but yeah, I just think there's better games out there now.
There are
Fair enough.
undoubtedly, yeah,
I'm
there are
not.
Hence, therefore,
undoubtedly
the
better
six.
games. Yeah,
So
but it is a good game though.
it
It
is
is
still a good game, yeah.
worth a bit more than 6.
Well,
It's not a game that you play every week, but it is something that I'd be happy to have picked up and someone play. No problem at all.
yeah.
Yeah,
All
definitely.
right. Well, the good news is that gives it an average podcast score of a 7. So there we go. My miserable 6 has ultimately given it the sevenest game, as Tom described it, gets a podcast score of a 7.
Lovely.
The profit.
Right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Just a couple more before the big 100. Lots of exciting stuff planned, but it's all secret. We can't tell you yet. So stay tuned. We've been Rolling with Laughter. Thank you for listening and come join us next time.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Hey! Rolling! 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 Yeah! Cards on the table, dice in your hand, friends round the corner, you already planned. You're rolling with laughter, rolling. Turn the fun up after, rolling. Pull up a chair, we're playing encounter, board game stories, any kind of weather. You're rolling with laughter, the game night podcast forever. Hey!
All right. I was walking through the countryside the other day, and a farmer said to me, "I've got 58 sheep in this field. Can you help me round them up?" I said, "Yes, 60."
Nice.
Wow, wow.
Don't get it.
Should have stayed in school, mate.
Don't get it. Ah, brilliant.
Right.
I'm not even sure if Seb's joking that he doesn't get it.
Oh no, I've just got it. Just got the roundup.
Right, I'll tell you what, Seb, I'll do it
I
again.
thought, oh, it's got to be an actual joke. Oh no, okay, it's that level. Okay.
I'll do it again and then you can laugh, all right?
Please don't. Please don't.